6th meeting of the Climate Smart Task Force. We've got some good work to report on and good work to look forward to. So let's get started. We need a roll. First of all, Don, I think you've been probably taking it. Is that right? Do you need to call out names?
As folks are checking them off. Yep.
Okay. And we just need a motion and a second on the minutes. If there's any comments on the minutes from last month that Don sent, any corrections, please let us know. If not, we'll take a motion to approve. And
I'll make that motion to approve. Steve.
That's Steve.
Mhm.
Thank you. And a second.
I'll second.
Great. I don't know who that was. Kara. Thank you.
Kara.
Thank you, Kara. Hi, Kara. Great. Anyone opposed, please speak up, make a noise, put your hand up, do something. Approved unanimously. Okay. So we've got some exciting updates and some plans for the future. Before we get started, I just wanted to start with some things that are in the news. And, obviously we'll have some time at the end. So if there's other information people want to share, you can always send it to me or Don ahead of time, or we'll have some time at the end for updates. But because agriculture is always front of mind in our area, and as we'll learn later with the Climate Action Plan and what we're looking at there, we are concerned about many aspects of how climate change is affecting our farms and our ability to grow food. So I thought it would be worth it, given there's some articles, there are always articles on climate. There's some important information in the news for us to kind of just not just jump into the work, but really reflect on the substance of what we're doing a bit. I think folks know that about a third of global emissions come from agriculture, and that's a broad number. In the US, it's less because we have more industrial emissions in part. And about 15%, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, the UN, about 15% of global emissions come from food waste, which is stunning. So that a lot of that is from agricultural emissions to produce the food, and then it's wasted. And a lot of it has to do with the supply chain. The land equivalent, the land needed for our crops is about the land mass of South America. And the land globally that's used for livestock is about the land mass of Africa. If you just want to put that in perspective, how much of the earth we're using to feed the 8 or 9 or 10 billion people that are on it right now. And then the scientific article that I'd sent was sobering because it's the climate change. Of course, we have to make agriculture as we have to reduce emissions to the extent we can in these food systems, obviously. And there are many ways to do that and lots to talk about there. We're not going to get into that today. But the impact of climate change on productivity of farms is also stunning. We all know the green revolution in farming over the last 80 years or so, starting with chemical fertilizers and now genetic crops and all sorts of other advances. If you want to call it an advance, it has led to more productivity and a lot more food. Not always the healthiest food, but food getting out into the world to feed hungry people. Well, that article that I sent out, the journal article, it did a study and created a model, and it says its findings were that since 1961, the time period that they look back on, anthropogenic climate change caused by humans has led to a reduction in productivity by about 21% because of the extreme weather and other impacts directly related to climate change, human climate change. And it's worse in the tropics, about 30% less productivity than we would have had otherwise. So it's costing us. It's not only that it's costing the individual farm, but it's costing us in the aggregate. And we all know the other article I sent out was just about Vermont and some of the human stories and real stories on farms of people who are struggling with floods. They just got another like 6 to 8 inches of rain, I read yesterday, from the storm. And it's just kind of incredible. The river valleys there, they're really in a bad spot when it comes to, I mean, Vermont's a wonderful place and they're really struggling. And so we're seeing more and more of these extreme weather events aggregate and cause even more impacts. The costs are really significant. So I think where we want to get is we want to get to a point where we have a kind of a win-win-win for farms, because if we can create more resilience and adaptation through healthier soils and better flood management, better water management on farms, more trees, riparian investments in riparian plantings, better practices in general that are more climate resilient, not only will that be better because the farms will be able to weather the storm, but it will also help increase productivity, or at least maintain productivity and over time, or not lose as much as you would otherwise, depending on what farming system you have. But it also will help us to mitigate climate change and slow down some of these impacts that are increasing. So that's kind of the win-win-win. It helps the farmers be more resilient, helps them adapt more, helps preserve their productivity so they don't lose as much, and helps us in the aggregate reduce emissions from farms. This is not a trade-off as much as it is kind of a need to protect our farms and in the process make them more resilient. And with proper funding, hopefully these projects, which are a lot of them are natural kind of climate solutions for farms, a lot of planting, can be paid for or at least subsidized through a lot of the money that's out there for climate smart farming and other things. So that's a little kind of teaser as to the kind of work that we're hoping to do and bring this information to our communities and hear a lot more from our communities, different stakeholders on their interests and their concerns. But I just thought I'd share some of that. Brenda.
I just want to say, and looking at Vermont and Massachusetts last year and this year, let's not forget about the impact on the local economy when they don't have crops.
It's huge.
Those are people that don't have jobs, workers that don't have jobs, all the way through the farming and the distribution, the harvesting and the distribution, and it's wreaking havoc on those local ag communities.
That's right. And one thing that was noted in the article, I think, is some of these small farms that are struggling financially, as small farms do, they can't afford or don't access crop insurance. And so they don't actually get any help unless there's a disaster declared, but they don't get any crop insurance assistance when they lose their crop. So they're devastated, and the economic impacts are huge. So it's really sad. And there are things we can do about it. So with that, I mean, we can get back into a discussion at the end. We can talk more about these topics or get into some other topics that are top of mind for folks at our last kind of segment of the meeting, like we've been doing, where we have it more open for discussion. But we've got some updates and some information and some feedback we need from folks. So let's get into the agenda. Don, give us the news. We got some news even today. What's going on with the NYSERDA grants?
Well, we have 4 electric vehicles being delivered sometime today at 401 State Street. I'm hoping it doesn't happen during the meeting so we can go out and take some pictures. It'll probably this afternoon. They've let us know that they're going to deliver the 4 Toyota BZ4Xs to us. So that's the latest news. I know Supervisor Adams, you asked me for an update on where we are, and I am putting that together, but just a little update on that before I give you the official word. Let me see. This one here. I don't know if you all get these emails, but and I'm not sure if this comes from Tara or if somebody at CDRPC puts these together. A little updates on where we are as far as the Capital District region, CEC grants being distributed, town of New Lebanon, obviously at the top of the list as always, but now Columbia County is number 2. So since about the first half of this year, we've received $637,500 been awarded to us total in grants. Lots of other Columbia County towns and villages on here. Town of Hillsdale, they don't have a number, but they are apparently up there with 5,000 CEC points now. Austerlitz, Town of Canaan, Gallatin, Village of Philmont, Town of Ghent, Town of Taconic, Village of Kinderhook, Village of Valatia, Chatham, Town of Kinderhook, Clobrick, Copac, right down the list here. I don't want to miss anybody. City of Hudson, Town of Stuyvesant is on the list now. So, as Tara likes to say, we're killing it. her famous phrase. Yep. You had a question from someone? Oh, someone wants to come in.
No.
I'd just like to say bravo, Mr. Powers.
That's right. Go New Lebanon. That's amazing. And I have to say about the county effort, I mean, so much of this goes to credit goes to Don. All of these other counties are bigger. They have more resources in their county government and planning departments than we do, for sure. And they can access the same grant programs, and we're just taking advantage of it because Don is organized and he's getting the support he needs to do it. And we're getting this done, and we're going to continue doing that, which is just really great. Every time we succeed in this and all of our towns bring in some funding, you get more people on board saying, wow, this is real, and we can make this help. This is really helping our communities in real, meaningful, material ways. So great job, Don. Great job, Steve, as well. And everyone else working in their communities, a lot of towns here. So cool stuff. I think, Jennifer, do you have your hand up? No. Okay.
No,
So
that was a mistake.
So Don, any other? I think that's it for the NYSERDA updates.
Yeah, well, the next one we're working on is we don't have the contract from NYSERDA yet, but is the county courthouse heat pumps. That $300,000 grant has been awarded to us. We have to just go through the process of the county reviewing it, the chairman signing it, sending it back to NYSERDA and everything. But that should be approved shortly as soon as we get the signable contract from NYSERDA. And then it's a matter of if we can get, we have the 4 EVs coming. If we could also get 2 of those EV chargers installed before October 1st, then we will qualify for another $412,500 in grant money. And we have to figure out what to spend that on. That's the next step that I believe Supervisor Adams and Ray Drukowski are working on.
That's fantastic. Do you have any concern about that happening before October 1st?
I honestly don't know, David. Everything, all the approvals have come through from the utilities to install these chargers. It's just a matter of can the contractor, Livingston Energy, get at least 2 of them installed before October 1st? And I honestly I can't answer that right now.
Are we waiting on some sort of make-ready utility work before they do that?
I don't believe so. From what I've heard, all that's been approved. It's just a matter of the contractor scheduling the work to get them installed, as far as I know.
And that's what I understand from Ray Drukowski, that we chose make-ready sites, so we didn't have to do any improvements.
Okay, great. Who is in touch with Livingston? Do they know we have this hard deadline?
I think that's Ray.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with Ray. Both
Thank
Don
you.
and I'll follow up with Ray.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Just so everyone knows that that's a meaningful deadline, not just an aspiration, and it has a lot of financial implications for us. Thank you. That's great. All right. Are we ready to pivot to the Climate Carnival?
I think Jolene is on here. She was a little bit late, but
Yep, I'm here.
Jolene, you want to start it off?
Sure, absolutely. So we do have posters and lawn signs available in Don's office if you'd like to pick them up and start distributing them. We've also started our PR campaign with press releases going out and media blitz to Instagram and Facebook. We did have a little setback as the Birds of Prey canceled yesterday due to staffing issues. So we are looking for another exhibit. If anybody is aware of any organization, if you could reach out to either myself or Don, that would be really helpful. We do have money set aside for that demonstration. We've also been working for additional food trucks. We have 4, I believe, Don. That was last count. Yep. And the bands are being lined up. We've had meetings, so the Repair Cafe is all set. So now it's just going to be a matter of the next few weeks lining up some volunteers to help us out that day with parking and signing in. Also, if you're interested in volunteering, please let myself or Don know there is a waiver that you do have to fill out. Don, you got anything else to add?
No, I think as far as volunteers, I know David asked about that last month. I think it's the parking, the initial parking at the beginning of the day. And we have the food scraps and recycle sort of monitors. It was another thing. If anybody's willing to help us out with that, just making sure that people put their stuff in the right bins. I know that's been a concern, and we've talked about that a lot at some of our meetings. Just and Wendy Madsen from Solid Waste is going to provide us with 4 food scrap bins, right? Jolene was correct. But
yeah,
people don't always follow the rules, so it's really important that we have somebody at those food scrap bins making sure people are using them properly. If we really want to make use of that. So.
What about setup the day before? I remember the free store and other things took a bit of time to set up last year or the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to actually, Tistria is coordinating. She will not be here for the actual event. She is leaving on Friday for vacation, but she'll be there on Wednesday and Thursday to help out with the free store. Hopefully by Thursday afternoon, we will have everything set. Jennifer First is also going to be assisting us with racks as she did last year. So we'll need some coordination Friday, just getting the store, set up. But hopefully a majority of it is done by Thursday before Tistria leaves.
And is the stuff for the free store coming from New Lebanon, or is it coming, are you collecting things for the free store?
She said that she was sending out a memo to all the towns. They weren't going to dismantle the New Lebanon free store as they did last time. So we're just reaching out to anyone that has decent stuff. They could drop it off at the fairgrounds Wednesday and Thursday between 9 and 12.
Jolene or Don, if I may ask, if I were to pick up some of the signage, the yard signs disseminated from my town hall, how many would you like me to grab? I mean, 10 good number or?
Yeah. So we have 100 yard signs, and I forget how many posters Jolene had printed up, but they are at 401 State in the front hall there. Yes. So you should be able to find them. Yep.
I'll pick up some as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to send out an email after the meeting to all the supervisors and everybody on the committee, just to, remind them exactly where they are and that they're there.
Great. Elizabeth.
Question for you. For the free store, what kind of items are you looking for? Is this clothing?
Primarily clothing, any age, but just, gently used clothing.
Okay, thanks.
And clean.
Yes.
Oh, you.
Great work to everyone who's been organizing this carnival. It's shaping up, and I know it takes a ton of work and a lot of people. So if you are available to volunteer and help out, please let Jolene and Don know. That would be a great help. If you know other people in your community who might be interested in doing that too, that would be great. And again, if anyone knows any similar type of folks as the Birds of Prey, any kind of like exhibit, that would be great. Quick question. Did we talk to the vendors, the food vendors about, I mean, it's very difficult for them to change their packaging, right?
Mhm.
They do certain things a certain way. They're not going to change it just for one event. But I remember, as long as we have recycling bins, that's helpful. The composting is helpful. But, is there any, we want them to come. We don't want to drive them away and make it difficult. But was there any kind of mention of packaging? Because I remember last time there was,
Yeah. We
had
haven't,
recycling bins.
the subjects come up at every meeting. We haven't reached out to the individual food trucks yet. I believe one of them already uses compostable or recyclable utensils and plates. Yeah, but we have no, we haven't reached out to the vendors, to the food trucks about that.
Yeah, actually, I think it'd probably be very difficult now being in the food industry. I can tell you those containers cost more than making the food. So,
And they require specific conditions to be composted too. They're not just,
correct.
throw them in the compost pile and they go away.
Yeah, for sure. I've had many supposedly compostable utensils in my compost for a few years now. They're not going anywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I hear you. Okay, anything else on the Climate Carnival? Any other questions, thoughts? Again, thank you all for all the great work. It's going to be an amazing event. Really looking forward to it. Very exciting. Okay, well then the next item is pretty exciting too, which is Don, thanks to you and to our small subcommittee, but mainly to you, that we were, and to, I should say, and to Brenda and to Supervisor Collins and Adams and others on the board, we were able to submit a grant application yesterday, or 2 days yesterday, right? To DEC for $60,000, which will be matched by the county with $30,000 and also $30,000 in kind, staff time and volunteer time, to help us develop a climate action plan over the next couple of years. And I should just call it a stakeholder-driven climate action plan, because that is our emphasis and our focus, is trying to reach out to as many people, organizations in the community, and really make this a participatory experience where we're gathering information from people, getting feedback, and making this something that the community can relate to. But so Don, first of all, we're going to go over he's going to give a quick outline of what we're actually, the work we're trying to do here to make it real for people. But just thank you for all that work. It's a lot to put these grants together, and it looks great. The grant looks terrific and strong, and hopefully we'll get it. So thanks, Don, and thank you to the supervisors who helped to get this passed through the board for broad support for the work we're doing. And I think a large part of this is because people recognize that we're doing things that, again, are really meaningful investments in the community that are going to save us money in the long run, make us more resilient, bring us together. So anyway, with that, Don, you want to just give us a quick overview of what this work will look like?
Yeah, I'll just again share my screen here. What am I looking for? Work plan.
While Don's prepping the audio visual, I would like to specifically commend Supervisor Adams, who truly was a dynamo in lobbying for that plan and that grant application to go through. It wouldn't have been done without her. So thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here.
Can you make that a little bit bigger, Don?
Yes, I will try to.
And
see.
I appreciate that, Denal, but I'd also like to say our town applied for another grant yesterday through the same CFA portal. And I had no idea the dozens of hours it takes to get that documentation through that portal. So in addition to, soliciting and information, gathering data, soliciting letters of support, and then writing the narrative, the extraordinary job that Don did to get all of that in that portal. I don't know if I could ever, having done it, I don't know if I could ever do it again. It's that much work. So really, Don, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brenda. Yeah, it was a lot of work. It was the first time I've done it. I just plowed through. It's all I've been working on for the last few weeks. So
Thank you.
Anyway, here I believe you can see this. I don't think I can zoom.
Yeah,
in
we can see it, Don.
But this is the work plan that was submitted. It had to be put into a particular template format. But just list the steps. The first objective. We want to set up some kind of a TAP committee that's going to be working on the plan, and that is up to the Board of Supervisors who sits on that committee. I'm going to assume it's going to be made up of a few supervisors, a few folks from the task force, maybe some other volunteers. I don't know, but that is, that's something we would have to talk to the Board of Supervisors about, who would sit on that committee, and it's their decision. I would be the primary contact and sort of the go-between between the CAT committee and whoever we hire as a consultant. And the first order of business for that CAT committee is putting together an RFP, a request for proposals, looking for a consultant to hire. All right, so that's the first, and it just starts at, if you notice, it starts on March 15th, 2025. So we will hear about the grant in January, I assume, but we're not, we can start doing a few things, working towards the cap, but we won't be reimbursed for any expenses that we incur, and we will not be given any credit for any volunteer service time that we put in before March 15th, 2025. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind. You don't want to burn through all of your volunteer time before we are able to get some credit for it. And we have up to 5 years to use that $60,000 grant. We don't anticipate taking 5 years. The work plan goes through an 18-month. We have an 18-month timeline that we've proposed, but we do have up to 5 years to use the money. The first thing would be putting out RFP for a consultant, picking that consultant, signing the contract. The next step would be developing some kind of a communication engagement strategy, identifying stakeholders, identifying populations that may be hard to reach, and putting that together into some kind of a comprehensive communication strategies to make sure that we're reaching all the people, within the county, within county government and within the county community to make sure we're talking to all the right people. Then we would complete the baseline greenhouse gas inventories, which part of this is taking the CDRPC regional comprehensive greenhouse gas inventory that they're putting together, pulling out pertinent information for the county, seeing if there are any like agricultural things that we want to do a little extra analysis on that are unique to Columbia County. and putting that together into a complete baseline assessment for both the government operations and the community. Then identifying greenhouse gas reduction initiatives. What are the things that the county is doing already to lower emissions? We are doing quite a few things. That's the reason we're getting all these NYSERDA grants, because we have already some initiatives underway, installing solar panels, buying EVs, those sorts of things. But what are some of the things that we aren't doing, or could we do more of what we're doing? List any additional proposed initiatives that the county government can take advantage of. Also, the community, because again, this is both a government operations cap and a community-wide cap. So are there any initiatives that the folks out in the community are working on right now, or what are some of the ideas that they could be working on? Put that list together, quantify the impacts of those actions, and come up with some kind of a prioritized list. Which things can we do that are going to give us the biggest bang for the buck? Then we're going to create the plan for implementing those initiatives. Who's responsible for doing what? What are our priorities? Establish some metrics, which are ways to measure, which means how are we going to measure our progress? Keeping track of what we're doing, measuring the anticipated decrease in greenhouse gas emissions due to those actions, due to those initiatives, keeping track of that. And then finally, it's just drafting the cap, drafting the actual document that we're going to do. And there's a process that I believe DEC wants to follow. First, we're going to draft the cap, give it to DEC for their review. They will give some comments. We will incorporate those comments. Then we give distribute the cap publicly for the community review, incorporate their comments into the cap, and then we give it to the Board of Supervisors for their review and their comments, incorporate their comments into the cap, and then we finalize and adopt the plan in the end. So rough overview, that's I know there are a lot of details that are probably missing in all those steps, but that's the general order of operations.
Thanks, Don. So we can take questions if there are any. We're not, as he said, hopefully we'll get the grant. No guarantees. It's a strong application. We've been doing a lot of great work in this county, so hopefully that's recognized. But assuming we get it, we really aren't working on it until next March. It doesn't mean we can't do some things ahead of time, as Don has said, but we can't document those hours and take credit for them. Doesn't mean we shouldn't be working on it. Time is of the essence. So I have a couple areas where I do think Don and I have discussed where we could start making some progress, some advanced work here, which will set us up well, which I'll mention in a minute. But does anyone have any questions for Don on the cap? Jennifer.
So what's the timeline on finding out if we got the grant?
January, we're expecting. They usually release the results in January.
Okay, thank you.
So there are two, and feel free to raise your hand if a question comes to mind or a comment. This, is meant to be a discussion as much as we can. But there's two areas where I think we could start doing some advanced work. I'm interested, and I know others have expressed interest. The first is I wouldn't just say agriculture. So I would say land use, because it includes much more than agriculture. We're looking at emissions coming from, but also sinks that are storing carbon in our communities, both on farmland. John, if you could just mute yourself.
I don't know, maybe not.
John, just mute yourself, please. Thank you. Thanks. So we're looking at land use, it includes agriculture, of course, because have a lot of agriculture in our communities, in our county, but it also includes forests, which represent a large part of the county land mass, and also other type of natural systems that will either store carbon or be sources of emissions. And that, I think, is something that we're looking at both from an inventory standpoint. So we expect that the inventory that we're getting from the CDRPC and the government operations inventory that Don's leading up will have some information, but as they've acknowledged, it won't be very detailed when it comes to land use emissions. It'll be focused on transportation, buildings, and all of the other types of emissions electricity that we typically see. And what we'd like to do is see what more information we can bring to bear that's distinctive, because we think that there's some not only sources, but there's some credit we should be getting for the benefits of protecting and enhancing our forests, for example, or some of the great activities that are already happening on farms in our communities that are helping to store carbon. So the ask here is for a group of people to join Don and I to look at existing models for how agriculture and land use and forests are the methodologies and the models for how these are tracked in inventories at the national, at the state, international level, so we can just become more fluent, at least a subset of us, a little more fluent in what might be realistic. How granular can you get? What types of data do you need to collect in order to make these models meaningful? Also, we need, along these lines, we need to start reaching out to experts who presumably we would hire to help us do that work. These would be consultants. They may be in universities or organizations that we're aware of. So that's one area. The other area is stakeholders. We need to start identifying the categories of stakeholders that we want to reach out to, and then start getting more detailed about lists of businesses, organizations, and individuals in the county that we think would be important to make sure we reach out to. That's another area of work where it would be great just to start doing some thinking, some outreach, some talking to people. Who do you know? Who might be interested? Who would be hard to reach? What communities are underrepresented that typically aren't part of the discussion, but we really want to include? Want to make sure we can get people's input. So those are two areas where we'd like, I don't know what you want to call it, a working group, but if anyone's interested in participating in either one of those, let Don and I know. Thank you. Okay. I think we're ready to move on. Anything else on the CAP?
You were asking for about volunteers, what they could do, Dave. I didn't know if you want to. So on your phone call before, you mentioned some of the ideas that volunteers might be able to.
Well, those are the two the ones I just mentioned that right now, okay. I think before we get the grant, those are two areas that could be kind of advanced work where I think we're going to end up needing to make some of those connections and have some of that baseline ready to roll when we start going, or else it'll just slow down the process.
All right.
And a bunch of us have already, as you can see from that list, kind of committed a certain amount of time that we expect once we get the grant starting in March, we'll be able to commit to this project. It may not, we're not asking people to have to, that was for the grant. They needed to see a commitment like that. We're not asking everyone to do that at this point. We will be asking people to participate as much as they can in areas that they feel they can contribute. So with that, I think we're ready to move on. That's the CAP. Christina, the Clean Energy Hub. Is there any information there? Any updates on the Capital Region Clean Energy Hub?
Hi, my name's Fiona. I'm just filling in for Christina, reporting back. I know we're excited to participate in the Climate Carnival.
Nice. Well, we're looking forward to having you there, and it'll be a party. I like your logo. That's pretty cool. So, all right, moving along. Any update from Audrey from Cornell?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I just have a really quick update. There were actually two funding streams or grants that were due yesterday. And I just want to let everybody know we submitted two proposals. One to work with Canaan and New Lebanon to do some road stream crossing management planning. And another to work with New Lebanon to launch a education and engagement campaign around climate change and emergency preparedness. So as part of that, we'll be working with them to develop a webpage and some social media posts and some print materials regarding emergency preparedness and with the really locally based information for their communities. So that's the main update for that. And we're looking forward to participating in the Climate Carnival as well.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you.
So now is the time where we open it up for updates or conversation, any kind of discussion that folks want to have from what's going on in your town and anything that, any ideas folks have for future work or collaboration. I've got a couple things, but let's open it up, see if there's anything else out there. Tara. Hi, Tara.
Hi, everybody. How y'all doing?
Great.
I just wanted to mention my colleague Haley Belkanoff is on the call. I know a lot of communities on this call do work with Haley, so you may know her already, but if you don't know her, you may know her soon. For those of you that I didn't tell yet, I'm going out on maternity leave sometime around September 4th or so. We'll see. So all of the Columbia County, thank you. All of the Columbia County support is going to go for CDRPC is going to go right to Haley. So, and she's been working with communities in the southern half of the county. She's also going to be there for the county itself to support. So she's on the call today just to, kind of get up to speed with what's going on. But I likely won't be on this next task force call. So just an update there. But yeah, and then I just wanted to mention too that the money is going fast for clean energy communities. So just don't wait. If you have points that you can submit or projects that are kind of in the works that you're trying to finish up, we've heard from the state, not a firm number, but just that, we're estimating at CDRPC, it's about 75% gone of the 25 million that they originally allocated in January, which is exciting that the state communities are moving that quickly, but also, just get on it. So, so yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Well, first of all, Tara, congratulations, and we'll miss you and good luck. And we'll look forward to hearing about the future generation of climate warriors that are forming right before our eyes. So good luck with everything. Is there a quick question? Is there any update on what comes next for that program?
Nothing that we've heard of right now. We're hoping they'll put more money into it. They may change the program entirely and kind of move away from what they're considering like small grants for, kind of one-off projects and maybe towards more policy-based incentives, which actually they've been on the call with a few of the communities that have been in contract with them for grants to ask that. How would that work with you guys? I know a lot of the small communities policy is a struggle. It's a struggle to implement things like New York Stretch, and it's easier to use money for things like a heat pump or a car. So we're watching that, and we're hoping that they make some type of compromise for small communities. But we'll keep you posted on what we hear.
Great. And then a question about whether another point of getting on top of Livingston Energy, I mean, this creates even more urgency. It's not just that we have to get it done before October, but the money may not even be there if we do get it done in, right before that deadline. So that creates even more urgency, which we should communicate to them. And I wonder how much of that 400 whatever thousand that we would qualify for might go to them. Just to kind of articulate that, if you help us get this built, we will qualify for more funding, and that will, I don't know if any of that, it hasn't been earmarked yet, right? So we can't really say that, but maybe we communicate that perhaps some of the funding will actually increase the amount of the contract that we can do with them. I don't know. Anyway, just a thought. Brenda.
Just to Tara's point about what's coming next, NYSEC, New York State Association of Counties, was their climate committee, members of their climate committee was invited to talk about what happens next with this program. And we did really emphasize, almost every member on that committee, that the importance of having facilitators like the Capital Regional Planning, excuse me if I screw up your acronym, Tara, that local communities really need these resources in order to apply for and to implement these various programs. So I'm hoping that we were heard. It appears that we were heard. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. And your support has been crucial to the success that we've had in the county. So, and in the towns. That's great. All right. Well, anything else? I've got a couple things. Catherine.
I just wanted to report that Stuyvesant applied for a grant for from the Hudson River Estuary Program to do a natural and cultural resources inventory for the town. And this was our first experience with the state financial system, and I can also agree that it is an arduous process, but we got our proposal in, and it's structured very much the same as the CAP proposal, and that we're going to hire a consultant and there's going to be a steering committee, but anyhow, that's in. It's good to have done one because it'll be a lot easier the next time. We'll know there are character limits and we won't write too much next time.
That's great. Congratulations. Hope you get it. Sounds like a good project. Steve.
I had a question, maybe Don can answer it. Do you know the status of the digester? Is it back in action?
I do not. No, I haven't heard from. I know it was struck by lightning a while ago. But I don't know if Jolene has been talking to Wendy. So I don't know. I personally don't know the status of it right now.
Okay, thanks.
I believe it is. Maybe I shouldn't speak, but I know that they were looking to prohibit large bones from future fodder. So like large rib bones and things like that. I think a knife or a blade broke on it, and they were really trying to educate people to keep that out of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
So keep it coming if there's anything else. A couple of things I wanted to ask about or mention. Jolene had talked about, I think it was Jolene had mentioned getting some press for the carnival, which is great. A press release went out. I think there's also an opportunity more broadly to get some good kind of public notice of the good work that's been going on, especially with cars coming in and solar panels being installed. Those are newsworthy, they're physical, they're photogenic. So I've reached out to someone at the Columbia paper, but perhaps if there's anyone else, I don't really remember if anyone has any PR press experience, but if they would like to participate and help Don and I reach out to some outlets, that would be great. The other thing is obviously the Climate Carnival, we'd like to get more attention before the event. And so that outreach would be helpful, and kind of talking about the direction that we're going, hopefully with the CAP moving forward and working together to help confront this challenge. So if anyone has any experience in that area and wants to help out, let Don and I know, please. The other question is, I just raise this every now and then. We went to Zoom when we had COVID. Zoom seems to work really well, in my opinion. It's a really good use of everyone's time. It's not the same as meeting in person. We all know that. And there's a real value in meeting in person. So I wanted to just kind of throw an idea out there. I just want to hear people's thoughts on whether there's any kind of consensus or any desire from the group here to perhaps meet in person occasionally, at least once a year. I think that would be a good idea if we can do that and find a space. Or if folks think it's really worth the effort to meet in person more regularly. Just kind of wanted to open that up to see if there's any feedback there from folks. Hi, Elizabeth.
Well, I'd just like to say again, I've said it before, this is definitely my favorite Zoom meeting. It is so well organized. I find it just such a great use of time. Everybody's efficient and ready and wonderful. I also like the idea of meeting in person, maybe once a year as you're suggesting, but I think this is a really, really effective way for us to get together. That's my take.
Yeah, we're all busy. I hear you. And I think that's how we want to make sure we use people's time well. Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm just in total agreement. Once a year meeting would be really fun, but it would change my ability to contribute if I had to actually drive somewhere for this meeting. So
yeah,
and I feel like it's pretty effective online, so I'm happy with it.
It's pretty efficient use of resources. I agree. I just wanted to open it up because I want to hear what people think. I want people to feel engaged and part of this. Matthew.
Hi, everyone. No, I just want to second what Jennifer said. Yeah, as well with and Elizabeth. So yeah, I'm meeting once a year would be great to see everyone's wonderful faces, but this is very, very efficient for my schedule as well. So
Great. Well, we'll put some thought into maybe we can meet toward the end of the year or the beginning of the year and do something in person. But I agree personally that's how I feel too. If anyone has any other thoughts, feel free to send me an email. And that's a wrap. I mean, that's all we have right now, unless anyone has anything else. Keep on doing all the good work you're doing, and enjoy your summers. And we'll see you in September for a meeting, and then right thereafter for the Climate Carnival. Don't forget to, if you want to volunteer for the carnival, Jolene and Don, let them know. And if you're interested in working with us on this gaining more knowledge and awareness of the land use inventory methodologies and models, kind of wonky, but if you're into it, let us know. And the stakeholder, kind of organizing ourselves with stakeholders, trying to figure out, what does the universe look like of people and organizations. Let us know if you're interested in doing any of that work. That wouldn't happen probably in the next month or so, but it would, be work that we could be carrying forward in the fall in a manageable way, and then into the winter. So that's it. That's a wrap. So thanks all for being here, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.